Well, now abandoned, the 101 Ranch was once world famous, even cutting edge. But time was not kind to the sprawling acreage just outside of Ponca City. As our Kathy Holsenbake reports, the 101 is a tale of cowboys and Indians and a changing time in our state's history.
Former Confederate soldier George Washington Miller bought the original 101 Ranch in 1880. But it was his sons, Joe, George Jr., and Zach, who helped the ranch grow to its full potential.
Well, actually, the ranch was ahead of its time with its employee hiring practices when you consider that mechanically they had their own tannery, their own cannery, their own refrigeration system, their own telephone system.
Al Ritter is a member of the 101 Ranch Old Timers Association. The group works to preserve the history of the 101 Ranch and the people who work there. He says the Miller brothers practiced hiring diversity before it was mandated into law.
Very remarkable for that period of time when women did not have the right to vote. I mean, the concept of ladies staying barefoot and pregnant was the time period's accepted rule. And of course, some of the aggressive young ladies that were involved with the 101 Ranch just literally flew in the face of that concept.
The 101 Ranch also hired cowboys of every color. Native Americans, Mexican Americans, and African Americans were some of the most competent cowboys to saddle a horse. Perhaps one of the most famous 101 Ranch cowboys was Bill Pickett. The trailblazing African American cowboy is credited for creating bulldogging, also known as steer wrestling. 83-year-old Velma Falconer was 6 years old the first time she saw Pickett perform.
Well, back then you didn't have the movies and TVs and all that entertainment. And you'd go there, and they had their grandstands, and they had their flags flying in the air, and their Western music was playing, and all their vendors and everything. It was better than going to a circus.
Falconer grew up in Ponca City and remembers the cowboys and cowgirls who lived there. She also remembers when the United States Postal Service unveiled the Bill Pickett stamp in 1993. Falconer was disappointed when she saw the photo was of Pickett's brother, not the famous cowboy. Her correction caused her nationwide fame.
And then Bill McAllister from Washington Post called, and he said, "How do you know it's Bill Pickett?" And I said, "Well, I saw him when I was a kid, and I got a bunch of pictures of him."
Diversity was the key to success at the 101 Ranch. The Millers farmed 2,000 acres of wheat and feed crops for the cattle to winter on. They also grew 15,000 acres of corn, alfalfa, and cane millet. At one time, with 25,000 cattle, Joe Miller had one of the largest Holstein, Shorthorn, and Hereford dairy herds in the United States. But it was the Wild West show that started touring in 1905 that made the ranch world famous. Crowds in Chicago, North and South America, and England thrilled to the traveling show.
It took a spirit of independence that was remarkable, and the ability to stick and see a project through, whether it was building fence, roping calves, or working cattle.
Typhoid fever, a deadly train wreck, a contagious horse disease, the Depression, and competition from other Wild West shows made it difficult for the 101 to survive. But it was the deaths of the eldest two Miller brothers that finally did the ranch in. Livestock and ranch equipment were sold, and all that remains are memories, cracked leather, and salvaged keepsakes, and perhaps the hope that history could come alive again.
Now, the 101 Ranch Old Timers Association owned the ranch headquarters just southwest of Ponca City, and it's being cleaned up and converted into a roadside park. Now, to read more on the 101 and see how you can get involved, just head to our website and click on Value Added.